I would really like to belabor the point, if you don't mind, because it's a point worth belaboring. So you've just had the biggest moment of your whole life. A moment you thought you were going to have 8 years ago. A moment that everybody thought you were going to have 8 years ago until the senator from Illinois came up and beat you. Kind of beat you at your own game. And then you joined his team, you went to his cabinet, and 8 years later he comes out and delivers in a way that brought down the House last night for you. Then tonight, her biggest speech of her life, the biggest night of her public and professional life. And after that, you are going to go to one place next to get your message out to the people you need the most. Like this whole convention was this for Hillary Clinton. Soften yourself up a little and convince moderates in regular America, in small towns, in working places, where people are moderate and maybe not completely committed, might go Republican, might go Democrat this time. If she can win those, she's the president of the United States. So where she goes right after this convention is absolutely crucial. The next stop, the next place, because everyone in the world will be quoting it. Every news organization in the entire world will be using clips for it. Sort of all the journalists on the planet are counting on that interviewer, whoever gets her next, to get the big answers to the big questions. So if you're the Clinton campaign, where do you go to find those people? You go to Fox News, and she will. And on Fox News Sunday, this Sunday, Chris Wallace will sit down with Hillary Clinton for her first post-convention interview and exclusive, and she'll talk to no one else. Fox News. Chris Wallace is here. That's a score.
I thought you said you were going to promote the interview.
Well, I thought about it and changed my mind.
Okay. Well, I was feeling pretty good about it until you told me all the stakes involved. We've been looking for 15 months since Hillary Clinton got into this campaign to sit down with us, and she's done a zillion Sunday shows and other shows, and they kept saying our time will come, our time will come. As it turned out, it's kind of perfect because, as you say, she's going to have this acceptance speech tonight, and then she's going to go on a bus tour with Tim Kaine. We're going to talk to her on Saturday in Harrisburg. It's her first interview as the Democratic nominee, the first woman nominee of a major party.
In American history.
In American history, and it's the only interview she's going to do Friday through Sunday. So you want to see what Hillary Clinton thinks about this convention,
yes,
what she thinks about Donald Trump,
yes,
what she thinks about the campaign.
Obviously. Ask
her a lot of the questions people have on their minds. There's only one place to go.
Fox News Sunday with Mr. Soup himself, Mr. Sunday and Mrs. Soup. Your father would be so proud of you.
Well, I hadn't thought of that, but
he would be.
I think he would be.
So
he'd probably be fighting me for the interview.
Probably. What's your goal?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, you want to make some news. You want to get her to talk about some things that she hasn't talked about. And the one thing that we kind of have an advantage is, yes, she's going to give her speech tonight and give her basic program, but she's been off the trail for the last week.
Yep.
And so there are a lot of things that have happened. What Donald Trump has said about Russia, what various people in the campaign, this campaign, have said about Trump, what Trump has said about them. And this will be the first opportunity. And I also think that in our fair and balanced way, we'll ask her some questions that a lot of people in the mainstream media have not asked her so far.
You know, you can go to her website and you can learn about policies and positions, and she's very good at talking about that sort of thing. With these two candidates, it's tough to contrast. It's tough to compare and contrast because there really aren't a lot of specifics from the other side. So I wonder how you'll go about that process.
Well, on a lot of these issues, I would like to explore where she stands and not to talk about Trump. And I don't want to give her the out of being able to say, well, Donald Trump says, no, I want to, what's your position on X? And how does that work? And why will that be better? And, you know, one of the points that Barack Obama had to deal with last night, 2/3 of the country thinks that we're on the wrong track. A lot of people feel economic anxiety. A lot of people do not feel this recovery that statistically is going on. So why should the Democrats get a third consecutive term? So there's a lot to talk about.
I'm waiting for the politician who eventually, and it won't be now, but eventually finds it politically necessary to tell the truth that globalism is not going away and that economies are going to have to change fundamentally, and there is no bringing back some things that are gone because of realities in the world. That no, you can't have it the way it was. It has to change now because the world has changed.
Well,
that reality has not been spoken.
But let's take an example of that, because that's kind of what Hillary Clinton was saying when she got roasted for talking about coal miners.
That's right.
You're not going to get your jobs back. And the second
because they're not.
And the second half of that, which is, so we got to find you other jobs,
That's right.
didn't really get talked about, and that explains why it's so dangerous to play the truth card and to just be honest and open. Listen, I covered Ronald Reagan in 1980 when he was traveling around the Rust Belt, and he was talking at going to steel mills here in Pennsylvania and talking about how we're going to bring back big steel. It didn't happen in 1980, and it hasn't happened in the 36 years since. It's a different world, a much more different world now than it was.
Well, let's
right
think about
that.
big steel, though. Look at what's happened in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Look at the young Americans who are coming from all over the country out of that fantastic education system that's in and around Pittsburgh, coming to work in some cases for UPMC, a fantastic healthcare provider, an enormous health operation. There are young people, millennials from all over the nation, going there for clean energy, for clean jobs, and Pittsburgh is seeing a revitalization like few cities in America. Steel went away, their human resources remained, and Pittsburgh is back. That can happen in Appalachia too. Somebody's got to figure out a way to do that. It was not easy for the entirety of Pittsburgh and its suburban areas and the people of that great state, but they're coming back, and in a big way, and it's impressive to see.
But look, if you're and talking now about Donald Trump and Donald Trump's voters, and not saying that the answer is that you're going to turn the clock back to the 1950s. Poverty is higher than it was at the beginning of the Obama's time in office. There has been no net increase in income. It's lower now than it was in 2008. I mean, there is an economic reality. Not to say this question of that you can turn the clock back, but the transition that you're talking about making, it's hard, and there are a lot of people who have not been part of it and really feel that they're being left behind, and you can understand Trump speaking to those anxieties. We'll talk to Hillary Clinton about that.
Well, really looking forward. I always look forward to Fox News Sunday, but especially this Sunday on your local Fox station, one where there's football on Sundays in football season. That's the Fox where Fox News Sunday is. That's where Hillary Clinton will be this Fox News Sunday.
Explain those core values that have motivated her whole life and paint a picture of the future, how she's going to make things better for everyday working people.
This is a moment of reckoning for America, and we have two paths that we can take, one that seeks division, one that gives in to forces that we are facing, whether they're economic or social, that could divide us, versus a path that, in working together, is going to make America stronger.
The Clinton campaign talking a little bit about the speech tonight for Hillary Clinton. This as Donald Trump has released a pretty long statement, just a part of it. In the Democrats' fantasy world, there is no problem with Hillary Clinton maintaining an illegal exposed server full of classified information that could have been hacked by any foreign enemy. I propose a different vision for America, one where we can break up Washington's rigged system and empower all Americans to achieve their dreams. In our vision, we will put America first. Let's bring in our panel. Steve Hayes, senior writer for The Weekly Standard. Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio. Julie Pace, White House correspondent for the Associated Press. And Tucker Carlson, host of Fox and Friends Weekend. All right, Tucker, tonight, Hillary Clinton and what you're hearing that she will say.
Well, she's not going to change anyone's mind on who she is. We know her, or we think we know her. I think she's going to reveal, or should reveal, finally what this campaign is about. It can't be just about being a woman. You know, sending another rich Ivy Leaguer to the White House is not going to improve my daughter's lives. She has to explain, is this a campaign, as her husband said, about making change, righting wrongs, fixing things, or, as the rest of the speakers suggested, things are fine, actually. Maybe it's a stay the course campaign. I personally think that's a wiser message, but she has to define, in this probably the most widely televised speech she's ever given, what is this about? We still don't know.
You know, it's interesting. I asked Robbie Mook about, after he said, you know, we understand people are hurting about the economy and all the challenges and the tension. And I said, well, she gave the Obama administration an A in October, and they can't really say what she'll do differently other than an infrastructure project.
And I think that that's one of her challenges tonight. She doesn't want this speech to get bogged down in policy. This isn't really the forum where you're going to be ticking through your economic plan. But for people who may be inclined to stick with a Democratic ticket but aren't completely sold on the policies of Barack Obama, how will she advance them? What would she do differently? I think that is important for her to lay out. At the same time, she has obviously literally and figuratively embraced Obama during this convention, so she's not going to be able to move too far away from what he's done.
She is not Bill Clinton. Mara. She is not as far as the presentation.
Yeah.
She's not as far as where he ran in 1992 and 96.
No, she's not Bill Clinton. She's not Barack Obama. The bar has been set very high for her. Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, Barack Obama have laid a foundation for her. She has to do something she's never done before, which is to somehow connect herself, her life story, to her vision for the country. Her vision is also a little muddy. We don't know exactly what she wants to do. We know she has a lot of programs, but they haven't been tied together in a unifying thing. She has to do that. I think that she can do what other charismatically challenged candidates have done in the past, like George H.W. Bush or even Richard Nixon, and talk about the fact that this isn't something that comes easily for her.
They keep on saying, Steve, she's a workhorse, not a show horse.
Yeah, I'm not sure she's not a show horse as well. Look, I think she's got to make a decision. We'll see where she is tonight in this speech. But you look at Monday night, it was the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren night. That was an appeal to the left. It's where she's been. It's what she did when she embraced Obama. It's how she ran in the primaries. And yet, as you asked Robbie Mook, they seem to be taking a slight turn to the center and trying to bring aboard disaffected Republicans and trying to appeal to independents. She can't do both. She's got an honest and trustworthy problem. If she tries to do both and sell herself as sort of a new Hillary Clinton, the person that we've known in public life for 30 years, isn't really who she is, she's going to exacerbate that problem, not solve it.
I know the Russia comments have dominated news coverage. I know what Trump says about it and what the Democrats say about it. Can we just go back to the party chair stepping down the day before this convention starts because of internal emails and the fact that that story is kind of lost?
And that should be the theme of Hillary's speech tonight. Things are getting really crazy. Like this country, we don't know where it's going, and it's scaring everybody, including Democrats. And I'm the steady, boring, dutiful girl in the front row who raises her hand to the teacher. That's what she should say.
Julie.
That's actually what I think she wants this election to come down to. I think she understands that people are anxious about security and about economics, but she wants those people who may not be inclined to like her to say it's worth having 4 years of at least a conventional politician rather than going with someone who is a complete unknown.
And on foreign policy, is she aggressive in her portrayal of where she really is, a hawk?
I think that's going to be a big balancing act for her because she can't dwell too much on her accomplishments as Secretary of State, because when voters look around the world, it looks like the world is on fire and there's not much the United States has been able to do about it. So that's going to be tough. But I do think what Julie's talking about, the steady hand in troubled times, that's what she's offering against someone who she says is temperamentally unfit, erratic, not qualified.
Steve, they also don't have a good answer for Libya yet, or at least not what I've heard.
No, they certainly don't have a good answer for Libya. And look, that's part of the balancing act, because on the one hand, she's saying, I'm safe, I'm steady. This will be more or less a continuation of what we've seen. On the other hand, she's pitching herself as a change agent.